So imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning, you reach over for your phone, and you open up your banking app. You see exactly the same balance you saw right before going to bed. Nothing changed, right? Or, well, at least that's what you think. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to uncover the invisible financial system that is literally silently draining your wealth while you sleep. And more importantly, we'll discover how to finally make your money work for you.
You know, we all do this. We wake up, check our accounts, and just assume that because we didn't spend a dime overnight, our money is perfectly safe. But the crazy reality is that without you spending a single dollar, without buying a single item, or making a single bad investment, the hidden financial machine just made you a little poorer. While you were sleeping, banks kept creating loans, governments kept printing money, and prices quietly crept up. The financial system never sleeps. So the real question you have to ask yourself today is, do you actually understand the game you're already playing?
It's literally the ultimate trap that so many of us fall into. Millions of really hardworking people believe that if they just put in their 50 hours a week for 40 years, everything's going to just work out. Yet they spend thousands of mornings stuck in a commute only to struggle to save, carry around a bunch of debt, and just live paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, there's a much smaller group of people living in the exact same economy, paying the exact same taxes, dealing with the exact same financial system, who just watch their wealth multiply effortlessly year after year.
So, why does that happen? The secret to the success isn't just pure luck, and it's not always about having been born into a wealthy family. Many self-made millionaires started out with absolutely nothing but a rock-solid understanding of the rules of money. The one defining difference is that they stop this endless, exhausting cycle of asking, how can I earn more money? And instead they ask this one life-changing question. How can I make money work for me? It's a complete mindset shift. And to make that shift, we first have to totally unlearn what we think we know. All right, let's dive into Section 1. What is money really? Peeling back the illusion of cash.
Because here's a wild thought for you. The money sitting in your wallet right now has almost zero real value. It's literally just paper and ink. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, we used the barter system. People exchanged goods directly, like I'll trade you wheat for milk or fish for tools. When that got way too complicated, civilizations shifted to precious metals like gold, basically because it was super rare and you couldn't just print it. Fast forward, and we started using paper money that represented real gold stored securely in a vault somewhere. But today, we use what's called fiat money. It isn't backed by gold at all. Its entire value is based 100% on human trust and confidence. The second that trust disappears, economies can completely collapse. Money is quite literally just belief.
And that brings us to a really incredible realization. Simply hoarding stacks of paper cash doesn't automatically make you wealthier. There is a massive fundamental difference between money and wealth. See, money is simply the tool you use to buy things today. Wealth, on the other hand, is what continues creating value for you tomorrow. If you earn this massive salary but you just spend it all, well, you have a high income, sure, but zero actual wealth. True wealth is all about building up assets that increase in value year after year, completely regardless of your daily salary. Which leads us to Section 2, how banks create money. Welcome to the fractional reserve machine. Okay, this part absolutely blows people's minds. When Sarah goes and deposits $1,000 into her savings account, the bank doesn't just lock it away in some giant metal vault. Not at all. Instead, using fractional reserve banking, they keep a tiny little fraction of it safe, and they loan out the rest. So they might take $900 of Sarah's money and loan it to John to, say, start a business. When John spends that money on equipment, the seller deposits that exact same $900 into another bank, which then turns around and loans out $810 of it. Through this endless looping cycle of lending, Sarah's initial $1,000 deposit expands into thousands of dollars circulating out there in the economy. Banks are literally creating new money out of thin air just by issuing debt.
Now, because the wealthy actually understand this system, they don't fear debt. They actually use it. They leverage what we call good debt to borrow money to buy income-producing assets. Think of a rental property, where the tenant's rent completely covers the loan payment, plus a little extra. On the flip side, your average consumer traps themselves in bad debt. They borrow money for luxury cars, designer clothes, big vacations, basically items that immediately lose their value and just create monthly payments without creating a single dime of income.
Now let's look at Section 3, Inflation, the Silent Thief. This is the real cost of doing nothing.
I want you to think of inflation kind of like a bucket with a tiny microscopic hole at the very bottom. At first, you barely even notice it. The bucket still looks totally full.
But as more and more money is created by that banking system we just talked about, it starts chasing the exact same amount of goods and services, which forces prices to go up. Hour after hour, year after year, the water is just slowly leaking out. You're not going to notice the leak in a single day, but over a couple of decades, those rising prices will slowly drain your purchasing power completely dry.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this shocker of a math problem. If you proudly save, let's say, $10,000 in physical cash today, and you never invested, 20 years from now, you are still going to have exactly $10,000. Sounds incredibly safe, right? Wrong. If prices doubled over those 20 years, your $10,000 can now only buy what $5,000 used to buy. The number printed on the bill didn't change at all, but your true purchasing power was brutally slashed right in half.
And honestly, this is exactly why wealthy people absolutely refuse to let their money just sit there idle. Let's look at Emma and Daniel. So Emma is super diligent. She saves every extra dollar she has in a regular savings account. But over the years, she is secretly losing her money to the invisible tax of inflation. Daniel, on the other hand, builds up a sensible emergency fund. Sure, but then he invests the rest. He puts his money into productive assets, things like stocks and real estate. This gives his wealth a chance to actually outpace those rising prices over the long haul.
Bringing us right into Section 4, Assets versus Liabilities. This is it, the big secret that separates the rich from everyone else.
Imagine two different people who get the exact same $5,000 bonus at work. They have the exact same salary, same lifestyle. Person A takes that $5,000 and puts it down on a luxury car. The second he drives that thing off the lot, its value just absolutely plummets. Plus, now it demands fuel, expensive insurance, and repairs. So it looks rich visually, but it financially drains him. Now, person B takes that exact same $5,000 and buys index funds, or maybe she invests it in learning a new skill. Nobody is going to compliment her invisible investments, but 5 years later, those investments are out there producing passive income.
It really all comes down to this beautifully simple principle popularized by the financial educator Robert Kiyosaki. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket, whether you're actively working or not. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. It is literally that straightforward.
Because think about it. When the average person gets a raise, what's the very first thing they do? They instantly upgrade their lifestyle. They buy a bigger house, a nicer phone, a flashier car. This is known as lifestyle inflation, and it pretty much guarantees you'll never have anything left over to invest. But look at what the wealthy actually buy. Instead of falling victim to lifestyle inflation, they aggressively buy index funds, dividend-paying companies, real estate, and businesses. They build up these income-producing assets first, and then, and only then, do they let the income from those assets actually pay for their luxury lifestyle.
A really great way to visualize this entire shift from just being a consumer to becoming a true investor is to treat every single dollar you earn like a tiny little worker. You're the boss, and you have two choices. You can send that tiny worker down to the mall to go shopping, where, let's be honest, you're never going to see them again. Or you can hire that worker and send them out into the economy to bring back more workers. Over time, one worker brings back 10, those 10 bring back 100, and pretty soon you've got this massive army of dollars working tirelessly for you around the clock.
So the next time you're about to pull out your credit card to buy something a bit expensive, you just got to stop and ask yourself, am I buying an asset right now, or am I buying a liability? Will this purchase actually make me richer, or is it just going to make me look richer?
Because answering that question honestly is your very first step toward harnessing the single most powerful force in all of finance. We're talking about a force so incredible that Albert Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. I'm talking about the secret of compound interest, and we're going to uncover exactly how to unleash it in our next explainer. Until then, just ask yourself, are your tiny workers building your empire today, or are you sending them away to build someone else's?